crafty friends, Katrina the Crafty Cataloger here with my March-April crafty update. If you are new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. I know I have Kim Hollenback and Leah Noel from RhubarbPatchStudio to thank for some great shout outs, and I know several of you came over from Kim's recommendation, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come see what I have to offer and watching and subscribing. And I hope that you find something in this video that you enjoy as well. If you are a returning friend, thank you for continuing to come back and see what I've been up to. I had hoped to get up and do this video first thing this morning, and of course, best laid plans, nothing ever goes the way I plan out in my head. So let's just dive right in, and hopefully this won't take too long because my list of things to do today is really long, and I'm sure I'll explain why as we go on. So the first thing that we'll talk about today is cross stitch. So I worked on several pieces over the last 2 months. I really don't feel that I stitched all that much. And here's a little bit of life story. So in the month of March, I ended up helping out our son, our oldest son, quite a bit with his cat. And long story short, the cat ended up having to have one of his eyes removed, and I ended up being the one who kind of was dealing with that mostly for the first week, because my son was on vacation. Had he realized that this was all going to happen, he wouldn't have gone on vacation. But and then the second week I took him to for the surgery just because I had the ability to get time off and my son did not. And then we had to move my son to his new house that he bought, him and his fiance bought. And so I just feel like there's been a lot of doing stuff for other people and not so much doing stuff for myself. But when I look at the stats, I guess I didn't do too awful. I just really feel like I haven't had as much stitchy time as I would like. So I'm going to go through what I have worked on, and I will try to just give you a brief rundown of maybe what got done and what challenges that I was able to meet with the stitching that I got done. So I have notes. That's what I will be looking down at. So I'm going to start out with this one that's right here on my lap. One of my Whip Go goals for March was to start This Is the Day by Plum Street Stamplers, and that is this piece right here. And I did start it. I believe the goal was to do 500 stitches, and I did 548. It met 2 magical stitches challenges in the month of March. I think it goes like this. So not a huge start, but I did get a start. There's some off-white thread right there that you can barely see, and then the flower and part of that border. So I worked on that. I know that I am really bad about giving you all the details on pieces, such as I can usually give you the name and probably the designer, but I'm really bad about giving fabric and floss information. And so I will have linked below a Google Doc that will have all that information in it if you were to want it for any reason. I'm not really going about any of this in any kind of order, just kind of grabbing what comes next. I worked on spring rolls. I will put a picture of that. I'm trying really hard. Someone pointed out that I was looking away from the camera, and I think what I'm really doing is I'm looking over here at the screen on my camera and not at the lens. So I'm trying really hard to look at the lens today so I look like I'm talking to you, not off to the side. So I'm gonna have to adjust how I do stuff. So, but I think I still want to be able to I'll put a picture of, all that to say, I will put a picture of what spring rolls should look like up here when it's finished. I worked on spring rolls. This was a new start. No, I put down that this is a new start in March. Maybe it was. I honestly don't remember. I put 514 stitches in it. It met 2 Magical Stitches challenges in March, but I will admit that I did not finish those challenges in March. I didn't finish them until April 3rd. It is on my spreadsheet for Magical Stitches for the month of April to get an additional 200. No, I think I need more. I need several hundred stitches on it in April, and I honestly don't know if it's going to happen. I am going camping. I am leaving Sunday. We're taking the camper up Sunday, and I still have to go to work. I'm going to the resort in the town where I work that my mother has her membership in. So my mom's coming up for 2 weeks, and I'm going up so that I can hang out with my mom. And so I have to spend today getting the camper ready, because tomorrow I'm going dress shopping to hopefully find a dress for my son's wedding. So anyway, here's where it is now. It's a cute piece. I'm doing these weenies pieces for my sister-in-law who has a dachshund named Penny. If I can find a picture of Penny, I'll put a picture here. You'd think I'd have a million because I get a Snapchat picture of Penny almost every day, but I don't necessarily save them. I did notice that they came out with another one in that series called Starbarks, and I think that one's really cute, and I definitely want to do that one. I also worked on Info Bloom. This was on my Whip Go board for both March and April, and I did meet the March goal, and it covered 2 Magical Stitches challenges in March. So I did add 670 stitches. It's on my Whip Go board to add 500 stitches in April, but then I had also put it on my Magical Stitches challenges for 600 or 700, I think 700 stitches, and I have not worked on it yet. So here's what Info Bloom should look like when it's finished, and where it was the last time you would have seen it. And here is where it is now. I think that the word bloom is done, except for I think there must be a flower or something right there. This one, I don't know, this one may go camping with me. This one's a great one to work on when I'm camping because it is Ada, and so it's easier to see, and there aren't a ton of colors, but I'm still enjoying that one. And I started and finished a piece for my son and his fiance. I started it in March, I finished it last weekend, I dropped it off at Hobby Lobby on Tuesday, and I used it for a total of 5 Magical Stitches challenges throughout March and April, and I will put a picture of it up here. It will probably have their names and the date blocked out, but I will put a picture of it right there. So I worked on that. And then the last thing I worked on was my full coverage piece. Those of you who have been with me for a while know that I like to rotate my full coverage pieces. I currently have 3 of them going, and I'm trying to rotate them every 2 months. So the last 2 months, March and April, were to work on Mini Village Bookstore. Here's a picture of what that will look like when I'm finished. And this is a Haid. I believe the artwork is by Randall Spangler. Here's a picture of where it was the last time you would have seen it. And here is where it is now. And I feel like you can't really tell too much. I did a lot of filling in random stitches up in here, and I know that I did work, excuse my cardinal head, Go Cards. And that's not the baseball team either that I'm referring to. I'm referring to my alma mater, Saginaw Valley State University. I know I did this section here. So it's coming along. Again, I did not work on this quite as much as I would have liked. Let's see, I got a total of 2,680 stitches on this over the course of 2 months. I used it for 9 Magical Stitches challenges, and it was used for the Traveling the USA challenge and the Michigan Cross Stitch group for both months. The other item that was on my WIPGO board that I was supposed to put 4 hours into was Glory of Autumn. I have yet to do that. I am disappointed. Jackie from CrossMyStitches, who is one of my favorite to watch, has mentioned a time or two that if you email the company that owns Dimensions and you can send them pictures and proof that you own a kit, that they will email you back the PDF. I finally did that this week. I took a picture of in Glory of Autumn and all my pieces and parts, and I sent an email to them and said, you know, I have this kit and I'm working on it. I would love it if I could get a PDF. And they were very prompt. The next morning, by mid-morning, I had the PDF. And I've fiddled with it quite a bit, and I'll probably fiddle with it some more, but at this point, I'm not sure that the PDF is going to help me very much. I'm going to really try to make the PDF work. I don't think it's going to be searchable, which would really be nice. It would help me to be able to blow it up and to mark it off. I just have to figure out the best way to do that, because I don't think it's going to work in Pattern Keeper. And so I'm looking at other options. Because not only am I now almost behind, because I'm supposed to have 4 hours into it for the month of April, but it was also one of the WIPGO calls for May. So now I have to do 8 hours. So that leads us to plans, etc. for cross stitch in the coming 2 months. Because we are now at the end of this 2-month time frame, I am going to put Mini Village Bookstore away. And I am going to get out Minnie the library. And as I mentioned, I'm going camping. I am going to take that with me camping, and I will take my Lowry stand. If we go for a weekend trip, I don't necessarily take the Lowry stand with me. But because I'm going for basically 2 weeks, and I'm most of the time going to be by myself, and we have plenty of room in the Hilton on Wheels, I will be taking the Lowry stand, and I will be taking Minnie in the library and working on that. It will most likely get used for the Michigan Traveling the USA challenge in that cross stitch group. And I know that it's also going to get used for another sale that I'm going to try to participate in. Rainy Day Reads, who is someone I just recently stumbled upon and really enjoy. She is doing a Turn 40 New Leaves sale in celebration of her 40th birthday. That's, I think, maybe May 5th. I have it written down on my calendar. So anyway, she's going to be starting the Anne of Green Gables piece that I believe it's a Haid, and I think Sarah StitchinMommy did a portion of that piece, and she did it super tiny. It was really cool. But Rainey is going to start that piece, and she's said that people could just either start a book related piece or work on a book related piece for this Turn 40 New Leaves sale. So I'm going to do Minnie in the library. I don't know how much more book related you can get than that. So I will be doing that. Other projects that I will also be working on coming up, Glory of Autumn, of course. In Full Bloom, I may take my Christmas ornaments camping with me because they're smaller and they would be easy if I want to go sit over and visit with my mom in her camper. I could take them and work on them. Pandemic was the other one that got drawn for WhipGo for May. So that will get worked on at some point, but I don't believe I will take that one with me camping. So yeah, I was thinking I would only take two pieces camping, but I'm probably going to take 4. Why? I probably won't really stitch as much as I think I will, but so those are kind of my plans. You know, nothing exciting. I didn't really purchase anything lately, except for I did buy the Shannon Christine Christmas, is it Christmas Sal? It's a thing where the patterns come out once a month for the next 9 months. I personally didn't want to keep paying for it every month, so I just paid for it, the whole thing up front, but I will get my patterns once a month for the next 9 months. So in case you have not seen that one already, here's a picture of what that looks like. And I know that if you were to join now, like, you wouldn't get that first pattern. You would only get from the second through, you know, you get from wherever you join on, you don't get them back. So I would love to start those at some point, but I'm really trying to not start anything because I would really like to get some of these other smaller pieces done. I would like to get Info Bloom done. I would like to get Glory of Autumn done. I would like to really only have 3 or 4 smaller pieces going, and I have way more than that going right now. So don't start anything until I get other stuff done. So that finishes up stitching. Let's move on to knitting. So last time we talked, I told you about So last time we talked, I mentioned that I was going to start making a dog out of this book, Knitted Animal Friends by Louise Crowther. I had seen this on Tina from, her name is escaping me right now. I'll have it linked below. Anyway, Tina was working on this. She made the box. And so anyway, I was going to start the dog. I took my book to Staples and had them cut the binding off and put this stuff on here and a nice plastic cover so that now it will lay flat when I want to use it. Although I think over time, honestly, the entire book will most likely end up scanned as a PDF and in my iPad, because I use my iPad to read my knitting patterns usually. Although I think last time also I talked about Knit Companion, and I have decided to not use Knit Companion anymore, and now I'm using Goodreader, which I think will do everything I need it to do without all the extra stuff that I wasn't using before, and it's free. So anyway, I'm working on George the dog, and I am getting very close to being able to start putting George together. He doesn't look like much right now, but we have a couple of arms. We have a head, a tail, a couple of ears, and a body. And on my needles right now is the first leg. That's the bottom of his foot right there. So this will be going camping with me. I am hoping to finish up that leg and get the other leg done. And I went to Hobby Lobby the other day, got myself some stuffing, and I'll take that with me camping. And I'm hoping that while I am camping, I will actually finish knitting him up and get him to the point where I'm sewing him together and stuffing him. Then the other knitting project I have is the catkin shawl. And here's a picture, here's the main cover picture. And then the picture after this I'm going to show is another picture that's on the pattern that actually shows how I think I would wear it. And then I will put a picture up of what it looked like the last time I showed it. And I have made progress. I'm a little frustrated right now. I have not worked on it in quite a while, like a couple weeks. I just haven't had time. Oh, this isn't good. The reason I haven't worked on it, this is where it is. I mean, it's coming along. I really love the colors, the brown and the blue together. And the blue has, I think that's called Stellina, maybe. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's got some sparkle in it. I am right here. Excuse the red. The red is a lifeline. But the lifeline is, the lifeline is several rows down, and I don't want to rip back that far. I mean, if I have to, I will, but I don't want to. There's something wrong in this section right here. I'm off. My count is off right there. And I think I knew that something was wrong when I went the one direction, and I thought, oh, I'll just deal with it when I go back. Only the biggest lie that Katrina tells herself is that she'll remember. I never remember. I must write these things down. So I need to sit down with nothing going on, nobody interrupting me, no TV going, and I need to count and compare to the pattern and just figure out. I think I can fudge it, is the truth of the matter. I think I can figure out how to fudge that one little spot, and I can get myself back on track. But I need time to sit down and figure it out. And I have not had that time. And I'm really hoping that maybe today I can have that time so that I can have this back on track, because I really would like to work on it again. I do enjoy working on it, and I am planning on taking it with me camping. So I do try really hard to not make mistakes, but I do. So as I mentioned, I am now using Goodreader on my iPad. I got a birthday present, a new iPad for my birthday, and I decided to go with the iPad Air instead of the iPad Mini. The last couple of iPads I've had were iPad Minis, and I really went back and forth, like, do I want to go back to a full-size iPad? The Mini is nice because it, you can drop it in even a small purse, and it felt like a paperback book. I was a little worried about going to back to a bigger iPad, but I decided that I wanted to also try doing digital planning instead of having a physical paper planner. I guess I'm kind of getting to that point in life where I'm just tired of carrying so much around with me. My planner, my iPad, my purse, my bag, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to downsize. So I ended up going with the iPad Air so that it would be a little bit bigger for the digital planning. And I am pleasantly surprised. I am a reader who will read on either. I'll read print, I'll read iPad. It doesn't bother me, either one. A lot of people I know are very much like, nope, I like the feel of a book. I like the feel of a book, but I also don't mind reading on my iPad. And so I was worried that this might feel too big to hold, especially when I'm laying in bed at night. But I'm not finding that to be the case. And it may be partially the case I bought, which was similar to the case I had, similar in design, not print, but design. And I think partly because of the way this is, I can stick my finger in here and I can hold it. And so it doesn't feel awkward. Anyway, when I was doing my research as to which iPad I wanted to upgrade to, it was either between the mini. It ended up being between the mini or the iPad Air, because I also wanted to get the the Apple Pencil, and the Apple Pencil doesn't work on the regular. Let me back up. The iPad Pencil 2nd generation doesn't work on the regular iPad. If I wanted the 2nd generation pencil, I had to go either with a mini, an iPad Air, or an iPad Pro. And I just felt like if I was going to invest in an I call it an iPad pencil. It's not an iPad pencil. It's an Apple Pencil. If I was going to invest in an Apple Pencil, I did not want to buy the 1st generation if the 2nd generation was already out. So I got myself an Apple Pencil and this iPad. So the other thing that's been taking up a lot of my time lately I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about iPads and how to use iPads and using various things. Because I kind of told myself that if I was going to invest in a new iPad, then by golly, I needed to use it a little bit more than for just a portable TV, aka floss tube watching, and the occasional book reading. So I've really been delving into this more, trying to figure it out and actually learn how to use it more. And I'm enjoying that. And so one of the things I downloaded yesterday was that Markup RXP, because maybe I'll use that to read that Glory of Autumn pattern. But anyway, like I said, with my knitting, I'm using the Goodreader app now, and that seems to be working quite well. So if you're a knitter and you didn't want to use Knit Companion, but sometimes you do still want to read your pattern on a device, Goodreader might be a good option for you. The other thing I was going to share in the area of knitting, it's not really knitting, but it's crochet. I had originally wanted to learn to crochet, not to knit, and I couldn't figure it out. So then that was when I moved on to knitting. But I really wanted to learn to make dishcloths, and I just feel like a crocheted dishcloth is maybe a little scrubbier. Does that make sense? So anyway, I reached out to my friend Kate from Kate's Crafting Corner, and she gave me some leads on some patterns and maybe some ideas on things that I could try. And so I have figured out how to crochet enough to make a dishcloth. And I have made 2 or 3 of these. Some of them are more wonky than others, but you know what? I'm washing dirty dishes with them. This one still needs the ends woven in on it. And honestly, I'm following the pattern, but I'm not, because the pattern would have it be a lot smaller, but I'm trying to find the perfect size, and I feel like I need it to be bigger, because after you use them for a time or two and you wash them, they shrink. At least that's what I've noticed. I think this one is actually going to end up being almost too small by the time I wash it. I have a couple in my bag at work I'm working on. I'm hoping to maybe give a couple to my future daughter-in-law as a part of her shower gift, which is in a week and a half, so I need to get on that. Anyway, that's it for yarny type crafts. So let's move on to quilting. So last time I showed you my wall hanging that I had made. I did get it back from the long armor, and I have attached, the way I put my binding on is I attach it with the machine. I attach the binding on the front side of my piece, and then I flip it over and I hand sew it on the back side. So I have the binding attached on the front side, and I have to still do the sewing on the back side. When I did that, I also attached these pockets, one on each side of the top, and that is how I will hang them. I will put a dowel on the wall, and then I will slide the dowel into these pockets. This is my plan. This is also going to go with me camping, because this is a great thing to do while I'm sitting watching TV, to do that handwork. So that is all I have to show there. Anyway, so that is still a work in progress, and hopefully by the next time I come visit with you again, I will actually have that done and can show you the finished product. Papercrafting. So I spent quite a bit of time working on cards, made lots of cards. Didn't meet any of my Whip Go goals though, so I'm still behind. One of the things I did was I have this box. I had my cards in a different box, but I was kind of outgrowing that box. So I have this box that I had picked up years ago at Joann's. I just thought it was pretty. One of these, you know, it's got like a magnetic closure. And I thought, well, I'm not really using this for anything. I will put my cards in it. And in my old box, I had these tabs, one for every month. And then I wanted to have tabs for occasions, we'll say. And so I did make some. Unfortunately, this box, it would be even better if it was maybe an inch taller, but it's not. So I made some of these tabs, and the tabs sit pretty low, but I can still see them, so I can still kind of tell where the different sections start. So I made different tabs in my box. I have, in the beginning, I have January through December, then I have baby, birthday, congratulations, get well, miscellaneous, sympathy, thank you, thinking of you, and wedding. So my plan is, my hope is that as I make cards, I can put them wherever they belong in the box, and then when I need a card, I can just reach in and grab one. The month tabs, what I really like to do if I'm on the ball is, you know, make my cards a couple months ahead and say, oh, this one's going to be for so-and-so, their birthday's in July, and I can put the card behind July's tab, maybe even with a Post-it on it for who I intend it for. So then at the beginning of July, I can just pull them out, address the envelope, and have it ready to go. So one of my Whip Go goals for paper crafting for last month was to spend 1 hour finishing up started cards. When I first learned to paper craft, the person who was kind of teaching us said, if you're going to make one card, make two. Well, unfortunately, sometimes I take that a little too far, and I think, well, if I'm going to make 2 cards, I might as well make 10. And then I get halfway through the process, and I get tired, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So then I end up with pieces and parts everywhere. So here's just a few. I will just show a few of the ones that I finished up. Because I had pieces and parts laying around. They're kind of a variety, some birthdays, this is a baby one. And believe it or not, I still have more of this background that I had cut up and I had started, and I still need to finish them. This one, I think this one here is one of my favorites. I don't even know why. I think I just like the brown and the green and the yellow together. I made a couple of these thinking of you cards. I can only show you one because I already sent one out. And actually that one should go out to someone. I made this. I have a nephew who's graduating this year. And his school colors, I believe, are either red and white or red and black and white. So that's why I did that. And I got fancy with that. I even decorated the envelope for that one. Class of 23. I made this wedding-y type card. I find wedding and shower cards hard, I think, because I just don't feel like I have stuff for them. And I actually, one of the things I went to Hobby Lobby for was to purchase stuff. And I still need to make a card for the bridal shower I have to go to in a week. There's another one. So I did make several cards. I'm behind on my, I don't even remember now what my May Whip Go goals were, but I haven't done them. And I just need to get on that. I need life to slow down and let me catch up. Does anybody else ever feel like that? Anyway, so that pretty much wraps up my crafting stuff. Next up, we will talk reading. My Goodreads goal for this year was to read 70 books, and I'm pleased to say that at this point I am about 6 or 7 books ahead of schedule. I have read 28 out of 70, maybe even 29 out of 70, because I made these notes up on Wednesday and I finished a book since then. So I think I'm 29 out of 70 complete. 26 or probably 27 of those also counted toward the 80 books in the Magical Stitches reading challenge. So I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I won't share all of the ones that I read with you here, but I will list a couple of them and briefly talk about them. So April and May, I've already read both of the books from the Elm Creek Quilt series that we were supposed to read for those months. That was the Cross Country Quilters and the Runaway Quilt. I would give both of those 5 stars. I had previously read this series before doing it with this group, but I have to say that I think I'm enjoying these books even more the second time around. And the first time I read them in print, this time I am listening to them, the audiobook version, and I am enjoying them a great deal. I listened to Until Leaves Fall in Paris. This was by Sarah Sundin. This is an historical fiction, World War II, set in Paris. If you've ever read a Sarah Sundin book and you enjoyed it, you would enjoy this one. And if you enjoy historical fiction set in World War II, you would enjoy this one. I don't think that I've read a Sarah Sundin book yet that I did not enjoy. I read an advanced reader's copy of The Words We Lost by Deese. I can't remember her first name. I would only give this one 4 stars, but I honestly think this was me more than the book. It was a contemporary fiction. It was a good story. I just think that overall I tend to gravitate more to historical fiction. And it took me way longer to read than it should have, and I don't know why. I listened to The Wedding Dress Sewing Circle by Jennifer Ryan. Her last name's Ryan. I think her first name's Jennifer. 5 stars. Again, haven't read a Jennifer Ryan book yet that I did not enjoy. She pretty much writes all World War II as well, I think. And the last one that I'm going to mention was called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and the author's last name was Skloot. This one was recommended to me by Leah Noel from RhubarbPatchStudio because I had mentioned that one of my goals for this year was to read a few nonfiction. I do tend to read more fiction than nonfiction, and I feel like I should read more nonfiction. And so this was a nonfiction book, and it was very interesting, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I did listen to the audiobook version of it. In 1951, she goes to Johns Hopkins Hospital and tells them something is wrong, and indeed something is. And in the process of the testing, they take a biopsy, basically, of a tumor that's growing on her cervix. And from that biopsy, those are the first cells that scientists were ever able to keep alive and to keep growing in a lab. And those cells are still alive, reproducing today. But her family didn't know this was happening, and her family didn't know anything about this until like 20 years after she died. They found out that her cells were still living. And the book just kind of talks about, all that goes with that, like the ramifications of, do your cells really belong to you after they're removed from your body? and all of that kind of stuff. And it was kind of interesting. It was very thought-provoking, and I did enjoy it. So if you're looking for a nonfiction book to read, that I would recommend it. I would say that I think I would have had a hard time reading it in print, and there were a few spots where the science talk got a little bit like I was like, I'm not sure I'm understanding, but then within a few lines it would pass. It wasn't like lengthy sections of the book where I thought, I'm lost, I don't know what they're talking about. So that wasn't bad. I will continue, obviously, to plug away at reading because, and I say plug away like it's a bad thing. I love to read. I am listening to a book right now called The Sewing Machine. I'm not very far into that, so I really can't give much of an idea of how I think that one's going to turn out. As always, my TBR list is way longer than the time that I have to read. So I'm never at a loss for things to read. So that pretty much wraps up crafting and reading. Not a whole lot going on around here, like I said. Had an issue with my son's cat, and we got that worked out. He's now a very cute cat with one eye. My son and his fiance bought a house, and we got him moved in, and she'll move in after the wedding. And the wedding's coming up very fast. I bought a new car. Stick a picture here. And so far I'm really liking it. I'm still trying to get used to the fact that I don't have a gear shifter. I have buttons to push and pull when I want to change gears, so that's just a little different. And I'm also still trying to get used to the fact that I really don't need my keys for much of anything. I just have to have them on me. I can unlock the car, I can start the car, I can do all these things, and I don't actually ever have to touch my keys. It's kind of disconcerting sometimes, since, you know, from the day I started driving, I've had a set of keys in my hand. So anyway, did that. Going dress shopping tomorrow, going camping for the next 2 weeks, and I'm still walking. I believe I'm up today. I can tell you, I am up today. Yesterday was day 445, so today is day 446, and I already walked today. I did 3 miles this morning. So still going strong. This bass drum mallet is still hanging out back here. I did cut a piece of something to fix it, and I actually kind of was hoping to work on that last night, and then I just kind of hit a wall, and I was like, I'm too tired, I can't. So maybe today that will get worked on, more just because I want it out of here than anything else. I think he must have several others because he hasn't been nagging me to get it done. So anyway, I hope that you are all well. I hope that you're getting lots of crafting time. I hope you're getting more crafting time than I'm getting. And if all goes as planned, I will see you again at the end of June. So until then, happy crafting!